Welcome back to another Sheffield Wednesday podcast, 20 minutes of talking all stuff for the Owls, and our focus this week, you know, it's going to be what is wrong with Ugbo. In fact, what's wrong with the whole strike force at Sheffield Wednesday. We've got Halloween Andrew and Glyn here to review, of course, that Burnley game and talk about how on earth you can hit a cow's backside with a banjo. Yes, welcome back to our Owls Walk. Let's kick this off. Connor says, it might as well sign me this window. I've scored the same amount of goals as our strikers have, and I'm a fraction of the cost. I'll take £750 a week and a 10k bonus fee. Thank you very much for that. Connor, oh dear. Happy Halloween, Andrew.
Well, you want me to do it this week, so I've got it on this week.
Yeah, it's a big improvement, we've got to say. Thank you. Right. All right. Tell us what's going wrong with Ugbo then, Glenn. Is he trying too hard?
Well, you go first.
No, I think he. It's frustrating from a fan's point of view because he's the only striker that we kind of paid money for this season, and he's failing to hit the target. Never mind score, you know. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a bit of ring rust or I don't know, but he just doesn't seem to be. When at the beginning of the season, when we were talking about signing him, if you remember me saying, is Ugbo going to be that man that gets us X amount of goals per season? And I weren't sure, I weren't convinced. He's not a out and out goal scorer, you know, and a couple of games before he was doing a lot of work off the ball. You're thinking, right, it's coming, you know, it's coming. He's slowly finding his way back in, but he's just not lighting the fire at the moment, and it takes a lot for me to kind of start singling players out, to be honest, because it's not how I am, but the noise in the cop and around the ground, and after, you know, praise or grumble and all the other podcasts that are out there, you know, they're starting to single a player out, and that won't do his confidence any good. He needs to crack the nut and register a goal, and I think it'll do his confidence the world of good. But even the goals that he did get last season, they weren't out and out striker goals. He were just right place, right time, poke him in, head him in, you know, and they were the goals that he got, which kind of led me to my point of saying, is he going to be the man that's going to get us 10, 15, 20 goals a season? I don't think he is, but there's definitely frustration there from the fans.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to be we can't be too harsh on him because ultimately.
Yeah, I wonder if the honeymoon is over with him because, remember, as I said to you last season, at Cardiff, he only scored 4 goals in the end in 22 appearances for them, and it looks like he's going down that road with us now, the way things are going, and that's just not good enough. We can't have that.
Similarly, we can't be too harsh on him because let's put our cards on the table. Without Ugbo's goals, you'd be in League One and playing Rotherham this weekend, wouldn't you?
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's that as well.
All right then. It's not just Ugbo though, is it? It's the whole. No. It's, as Callum said in his tweet there. It's the whole strike force. Let's see some of the tweets for this week. Adam says Danny Rohl was absolutely spot on in his analysis of that game. Where actually Danny Rohl says, "Look, we're progressing. We're doing all right. Calm down. If people can't see the progress, then there is no hope for them. We attack with purpose, but the final ball lets us down." Sometime. We are a reasonably young side, I think Andrew and Matt and yourself, Glenn, have said so many times on this channel, and we will improve. It is a million miles better than this time last season. Glenn, do you agree with Adam?
Do you know what? Yes, the progression is there. The style of play. We've got an identity. Danny Rohl doesn't hide from anything. He always says it how it is. He's probably the most honest manager that's out there, and it's a rarity. But absolutely, progression's there. Like I said previously, you know, we're German by design, but Thai by default. And what I mean by that is it can only work with what he's got, you know. And if we're not going to be allowed to go out there, you know, Birmingham have spent £10 million on a striker. We were allowed to spend 2, 3 maybe, you know, and we're talking about us trying to get for top 6, you know. I think absolutely the progression's there, the style of play is there. Imagine what Danny could do with a little bit more money. You know, we're running on a thin line of loan players and players that we can afford, and you reap what you sow. We are where we are. I'd be more than happy to blow whistle on this season right now and finish where we finished, and go into a new season with a bit of money to spend. But we are where we are. But again, like I say every week, in Danny we trust, and he's definitely given us a backbone, a style of play, and something to hope for. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, the pressure is definitely on our forwards to finish, but I will add that if we did miss Windass badly on Saturday, I think if he'd have been there, the chances that were missed by Smith, he missed 3 great, glorious chances, and also obviously Ugbo too. I think Windass would have bagged a couple of those. I really do.
Andrew O. Simpson says, we played very well. Our forwards couldn't hit a barn door, though not clinical enough. Also too greedy on many occasions, but we'll go again. Burnley were fortunate. We deserved a point today, and we go again on Tuesday. What about this greed, Andrew? Do you agree with that? That sometimes there's a pass on, and they prefer to take on a man when they should pass it?
The chances we had, the headers that by Smith, the header by Bernard, they had to go for them. They weren't greedy. They had no choice. And another day, those could have ended up in the back of the net. So I wouldn't say they were greedy up front. I think they're trying to work the ball in sometimes when they're moving down the flanks, trying to attack. And I don't think there's any sort of selfish runners in the team as far as I can see. So no, I disagree with that.
Okay. Finally, Glyn, this one from Wawa. Missed 2 chances that we should have scored and poor defending gifted them the goals. Overall, I thought we matched a team that cost 6 times the amount of Sheffield Wednesday. We can't forget that, can we? The amount of money Burnley have spent compared to what Wednesday have. Obviously there's a golfing class in terms of finances, but there wasn't that big a golfing class in terms of the football, was there?
Absolutely not, no, and that's what I'm saying. What Danny's got to work with, and the way that he's got them playing, it's refreshing. This time last season we couldn't see a win for the ground really, but we it was one rare mistake from Jan Valery, which any other player on the pitch makes a mistake, and up front their defender clears it, midfield another midfielder player gets it, a defender, it ends up in the back of the net. And up to that point, up to them scoring that goal, we were the better team. We should have been in front. We should have levelled just after half time. When the second goal went in, Danny pretty much pulled all the team off and prepared us ready for Tuesday. But we weren't. The scoreline didn't reflect the performance. Definitely not. It could have been 3-0, but it also could have been 3-1 to us, I think. So
okay.
I take the positives. From that game, definitely. And yeah, like you say, 6 times the amount of money spent in the team. And we matched them kick for kick, really. So can't grumble.
Okay.
And remember, I did predict Burnley to go up this season. I'm still sticking with that. Burnley and Sunderland from the very start of the season.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about Sky Sports next, because this week is a busy week for all teams. You've all got to play 3 games across the week, but Swansea obviously visit Hillsborough tomorrow evening before we're recording this. But then your away game at Portsmouth has been moved for TV to Friday. Now Portsmouth also play tomorrow night, but of course they've got home advantage. How do you see this as an away fan travelling to Portsmouth is bad enough, isn't it? Travelling on a Friday night for TV. You can understand this if this was Blackburn away perhaps, or even so much as to say like a West Brom away. That would be fine, wouldn't it? But these, surely we've got to have some sense of sensibility, haven't we?
Yeah. Definitely, the distance is far too. It's unfair on fans to be travelling so far, because of Sky wanting to put it on there. If you want to put it on, get it back to Saturday as it used to be. I'm old school. I still prefer the old days of how matches were sort of organised and you knew what was coming and when they were going to be played, and not having them mucked about halfway through the season. Let's change it to this, change it to that, and the rest of it. So I'm not happy with that at all. The only thing in our favour is that Portsmouth have got a tough trip themselves to Cardiff first of all as well away. So they're going to be going down there. And Cardiff, of course, won 5-0 at home at the weekend, so they have their tails up a little bit. So maybe it's the right time to be playing them. But having said that, of course, they won at QPR. So who knows? It's just flip a coin. It's hard to call. But I'm not happy for the fans' sake that having to travel down there on a Friday night. It's not right. Agreed.
Glyn, you're not going, are you?
No. Do you know what? I think Sky know exactly what they're doing. and they do it purposely so people don't travel, and they then subscribe and want to watch it on TV. There's no surprise that Swansea away, Bristol away, Portsmouth away, they're all really, really, really long travels that they're going to put on the TV, and they just don't want people to go, and they make it awkward, and they put it on Sundays and on Friday nights. People work. They can't all finish work early and make a trip down to Portsmouth in the middle of the afternoon. We've got to earn that money to be able to go. So I think they know exactly what they're doing. We'll put it on TV late on a Friday night, and hopefully people won't go to the game and they'll subscribe and watch it on TV. And that's honestly what I think.
Yeah, it's a good shout. All right then. Also, the the Sheffield Derby is coming up soon. There's been reports out that South Yorkshire Police have banned any pubs and any alcohol retailers from opening early for that game due to obviously poor history of violence and disorder. Do you both agree with that as a decision?
I think it's probably the wisest move, because there are always going to be sort of groups out there that are going to be having old scores to settle. It's historical. It goes back years, and it doesn't go away, because it's just the way things are. And it's not just in Sheffield; it's in all the major cities. There's always a rivalry that's going to be going on there. It's probably a wise move, keeping up. But again, if people want to drink, they're going to drink anyway. They'll drink at home, or find a place to drink if they want to sort of get tanked up before a match or whatever. But it's probably the safest sort of route is to try and avoid troubles in pubs as well. You can imagine it will get out of hand. It'll get out of hand. I know Glyn agrees. But that's what I think.
Glyn?
Historically, there's been a lot of trouble, but not over recent times. And there's been the odd scuffle, odd handbag at dawn, the odd disagreement, but that happens home fan versus home fan, away fan versus away fan. And whether that's alcohol or whatever driven, I don't know. But to put a ban on all local pubs earning money and making money off what is a massive fixture, I'm not sure I agree, to be quite honest. It's a chance for people to get out. Wednesday fans, United fans are friends, inside and outside of football. You're always going to get your idiots, regardless of alcohol and anything else. But I don't remember over the last probably 4 games that there's actually been any major issues with the derby, to be quite honest.
And just on that, we should commend Sheffield Wednesday and all Sheffield Wednesday fans for the tribute to George Baldock, which took place, of course, at the game against Burnley, and of course across social media. I think Wednesday, as a club and fans, have shown themselves just to be the class act that they are when obviously tragedies like this happen. So well done, Sheffield Wednesday.
That was refreshing. Right. That was refreshing, Mark, considering some people were pointing the finger at us the other week, trying to blame Wednesday for the death of that poor West Brom guy. Sort of blaming our club and sort of reaction to that, which is disgraceful, really. Wednesday had nothing to do with that whatsoever. Totally disgraceful.
Okay. It's Halloween, as Andrew has intimated, so we're asking this week, who's the scariest player to ever put on the blue and white stripes? That sort of player that you were glad that was on your side rather than the opposition side. Drop your comments below if you can think of any. Let's see what Glyn and Andrew can muster up here. Glyn, you go first on this one.
I've got 2, to be fair. More recent times, Sam Hutchinson. He was just an absolute leveler. I'd love to see him back in a Wednesday shirt and holding that midfield, because it just makes players think twice about coming around him. And although it weren't pretty, he'd quite happily take one for the team. So Sam Hutchinson of recent times, but Graham Hyde is a blast from the past, and it was. I don't know if you can remember him, but it was about 10 stone, wet through, but he went all in every time, against you like the Duncan Ferguson and all the big names that were big hitters. He didn't care, he'd knock them up in the air. So yeah, Graham Hyde and Sam Hutchinson for me, definitely.
All right, great shouts. Yeah. Go on then, Andrew.
Those 2 I definitely agree with. I can give half a dozen names in my history, of course, because I go back a lot further. I start off with Jerry Young. He was a real hard guy in the 60s for us, even though he made that missed trap to help Everton win the cup final in 66, much to my annoyance. Ken Knighton was a real hard guy who played for us in the 70s. Also Mick Lyons, of course, we had to play for you, Everton as well as Wednesday. You know, he bled for each club that he played for. He really did. He'd go in like there was no tomorrow. Jim Craig was another lunatic we got from Celtic. He was another sort of a bit of a thug. Laurie Madden, we got him from London, Charlton. He was another hard guy. And then also Andy Pearce I put in there too. Was another one we had. So we had half a dozen like that roll off the tongue. But I'm young and old enough to remember the real lunatics that we had playing football back in those days. The likes of Tommy Smith for Liverpool was probably the hardest guy I ever saw. I was actually there for the FA Charity Shield 74 when Bremner and Keegan both got sent off. I was actually at that match at Wembley. Also, you had the big punch-up between Hunter and Lee, Norman Hunter and Francis Lee. They would show that on YouTube. That was ridiculous how that was allowed to go on. It was like a boxing match. It really was. You watch that on YouTube. And then the likes of Chopper Harris, Peter Storey, and then Millwall had two lunatics. One was called H. He was Harry Cripps. Another one was Terry Hurlock. Ask any Millwall fan about those two. They'll tell you there's no one ever walked the earth harder than these two guys.
Other than
Brilliant.
Graham Hyde.
Right. Can you beat that? To drop us a comment below. Listen to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Enjoy the Swansea game, and of course enjoy your trip to Portsmouth, but enjoy watching it on the telly. We're putting off you to watching that on Friday night. 6 points should be in the bag potentially for the Owls. We'll catch up
I'm going to
with
go
you
for
next week.
2-0 win against Swansea, and then a draw at Portsmouth 1-1 is acceptable. If we get 2 wins, even better. Even better.
All right. Good shout. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll catch you next week.